Hi, good morning, you guys. I hope my audio is better this time. I want to go ahead and welcome you to Biology 2424, Human Physiology. We are going to take a crash course this summer, 8 weeks for the whole human body. And in the previous video, I had done my introductions and gone over the syllabus with you. That's the first most important document. It's got tons of information for being successful in this class. We're going to be at an accelerated pace. So many of you have already emailed me and we've had discussions about getting started. So I want to walk you through a few things contained in your syllabus, a few updates, and just make sure everybody is on the same page so we can get started this morning. Okay, so I'm pretty sure no one's taking this class as an elective. We're all in this to hopefully get into a program in the future. I want to just walk you through requirements, what to expect, how we're going to deliver class material remotely. No one is going to be required to be on campus this semester, so we've been working to make adjustments, rely more heavily on video, and most of the adjustments you'll see in the early labs where we have a lot of hands-on experimentation. You guys will be doing that remotely. So we've been making a lot of videos, and I wanted to make sure I had another one to welcome you to this class, one that you can hear me a little better, and go over a few things with the syllabus. So if you have the syllabus in front of you, it's still a good idea to form a notebook. You can download and print my class notes. Unit 1 notes are all already there, the first 5 chapters. And the syllabus is a document you'll probably want to refer back to from time to time because it on page 2 it has how to accumulate points, and so that's going to be how you earn your grade is through points. So this syllabus has a ton of information in it. And to start off, as we do our Unit 1 introductions and get started in this class, our goal was really just to have a basic knowledge of structure and function for the whole human body. And how we do that is we're going to start with the cell and cell function and go to tissues and organ systems. So we're going to have this organizational system that we refer back to again and again in this class. And I'm going to focus on healthy. In chapter 1, you're going to see some references in your textbook to diabetes. And yes, that is very prevalent in this country. And we all probably know someone who's had diabetes, or we've heard something about insulin. But I want to steer away from pathology as much as possible to make sure you guys spend most of your time on knowing healthy and normal human function. So I'm going to focus on healthy. We will have mention of diabetes because we're going to talk about metabolism in chapter 3 and talk about some of the effects that poor insulin control can have. But that's really a hormone. And we don't talk about hormones until Unit 3. So normal body function, and one of the key terms we're going to run into in chapter 1 is homeostasis. So I'll have another video coming up where I walk you through your notes, and you guys already have access to all the notes for Unit 1. So I'll pause after we're done here and start walking you through those PowerPoint slides. But our topics are going to include cellular function and metabolism, and then we'll move into the nervous system and the endocrine system, and then muscle physiology, which includes the heart, and renal physiology and respiratory physiology will be Unit 4. So I've broken our 8-week session up into 2-week chunks. So normally in the semester I have 4 units. You guys aren't getting out of any information. You have to still cover the whole semester, but it's in 8 weeks instead of 16. So the format's going to be the same. What I teach is the same. It's just at an accelerated pace. We're going to meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if we were meeting in class, you guys would be with me 4 days a week, some days 6 hours a day on your lab days. So we'll talk about lab in just a second. Okay, so my contact information is here. If you need to meet with me, we'll have a Zoom meeting, and I'll give you guys my Zoom meeting ID and the password for that. My office phone number is being forwarded to my computer. So if you call that number, You'll get my voice message, but email is the best way to contact me. I want to say that it's imperative that you have had the prerequisites to be in this class. This is a 2000 level class, and it's expected that you've had Gen Bio and at least one chemistry class, because we do jump in with homeostasis and cell biology, including metabolism, in the very first unit. So chapters 1 through 3 are going to have a lot of biology and chemistry. So it's imperative that you've had both of those classes before trying to tackle this class, because then it's just going to be overwhelming. If you haven't had some cell biology and understand cell structures, we'll review them. But to have a course already in biology and chemistry is really going to be helpful to get through this class. This is a morning class, so I am hoping to meet with you guys in the morning and during the day. I've had several messages about logging on at night. So I'm going to have a lot of pre-recorded lectures, so it kind of solves two problems. If you're not here at 9:30 for class, you can always access the lectures. If you need to review and hear what I said and go back over a lecture, you can do that because they're recorded. So I feel like there's some benefits to our online by being able to record lectures and use videos to put the diagrams that I would normally draw on the board into motion. So you can see how all of these molecules work together to maintain human physiology. So yeah, we're disconnected a little bit, but I think we are actually going to be able to move faster, and you guys might have better learning tools, because sometimes in lecture we're distracted, or I said something too fast, or you want to go back over it, and if it's not in your notes and you can't find it in the book, you're kind of stuck. Now with videos, you can go back and watch them as many times as you like and get that information. So our method of delivery doesn't get you out of getting the required textbook. So Pearson Human Physiology, 6th edition, is our book. The author is Cindy Stanfield, and new or used, it doesn't matter. 6th edition will line up with my lecture notes. So when I refer to a figure or a diagram, the number on that figure will line up with the book's information. And just so you know, I can't fit everything on a PowerPoint slide. So doing the required readings, and I've listed those out in a daily reading schedule for you on page 4 in your syllabus, will help you stay on track with the required reading, and you'll get a lot more out of your lecture videos because the vocab terms and deeper explanation of topics will be found in your book. The other required text is going to be the lab manual. That's something you can only get through Rose State's bookstore. It's authored by myself and another professor. So the lab guide is what we're going to use. I've just had to make a few modifications for distance learning in the first few lab experiments. So microscopy, safety training, biohaz, those kinds of things we're going to do today and Tuesday. And then we'll move into homeostasis and a few things that were hands-on wet lab we've modified. So we'll talk more about lab in a little bit. It should be fun. Okay, so the books, the textbook, for sure you have to have. I've had a few people ask me, do I even need to get the book? Yes, you do. I use the book heavily. Your examples are going to come from the book, and then the more robust explanation or going back and reviewing, you can do that through the book. Okay, and then the lab manual. Call the Rose State bookstore. The ISBN number is here on the first page of your syllabus, and make sure you have the lab manual. You're going to need that this week. Remember, 2 labs per week in summer school. Okay, and my course objectives for you are listed. And if we go over to page 2, the point breakdown, methods of instruction. Obviously, my syllabus is kind of geared towards meeting you face-to-face, but I have made a few adjustments so it does apply to online distance learning. So your time requirements for dedicating to this class. I know many of you have told me you're working full-time and taking a summer school class, so that's going to be a lot of time constraints this summer, but it's only 8 weeks, right? We can get it done. How you accumulate points. Okay, so exams, there'll be 4, so each unit has an exam, so that means an exam every 2 weeks, roughly. We've broken up our 8-week session into 4 units. So an exam for 100 points on each unit, and then we'll start the new unit as soon as the exam's over. There will be 4 quizzes. So before the exam, I want to give you a quiz and see how you've mastered the information so far. Whatever we've covered up to that point, I want to give you a quiz. You'll find that in Canvas, and those will be 25 points each times 4, so 100 points in quizzes. I'm going to give you 10 homework assignments. So 1 or 2 of those weeks, you're probably going to have 2 assignments in 1 week. The homeworks are designed to be a little more detail oriented. You have open book and usually about a week to get it done. So my homeworks are going to be more detailed in order for you to get the practice in and to see the kind of the level of understanding I want you to have to be successful on the exams. So 10 homeworks at 10 points each. That's another 100 points this summer sessions. And then the lab is handled as if it were a separate class because of all the experimentation, all the hands-on, and then the reading that you'd have to do in the lab manual to prepare, your objectives, your materials and methods and things like that. The lab is 175 points total, and I'll talk more about those 175 points in a minute. So our total possible for the semester is 775. My final at the end is optional. So if you're close to getting the next higher grade, you're welcome to take the cumulative final, but it's not required. The final will be optional. And it's usually for people to get an extra 10 or 20 points if they need to get to the next higher grade. What we do is we drop any low test score from the semester and replace it with your final. Okay. So Canvas is going to be your friend. Everything's going to be through Canvas. And the Pearson login, I've gotten some questions about that because when I wrote this syllabus, I built the course in Pearson, and now you have a link on your left-hand navigation bar when you're in Canvas. Click on My Labs, My Lab in Mastering. It's right up near the top for you to find. Click on that, and I think that's going to make registering for the Pearson site a lot easier. And you won't have to go to 2 different sites. You can just be in Canvas and access the author's website. Okay, so assignments. Okay, so to accumulate points, you need to be able to do your assignments, quizzes, homeworks, exams, things like that. They're all worth points. And normally I take assignments in class. You bring them and you put them on the front table before I start lecturing. Well, now that's a little more difficult, but you can just upload your assignments directly to Canvas, which is convenient. And I'm gonna give you guys some leeway. So what I'll do is for things that aren't turned in by the due date, I'll give you half credit if you at least get it in within a week of the assignment. Okay, and you can read more about that in the syllabus. I also have detailed explanations on page 3 for exams, quizzes, homeworks, general etiquette, and I have some tips and recommended study methods for success in this class. There's also a student section on accessing support offices and facilities that Rose State offers. So personal counseling, student support services, those links and phone numbers are all listed for you as well. And the policy on academic integrity. There will be some, I don't know what you want to call it, but some security measures when we're taking exams. And we'll talk more about those when they come up. So you'll have to have a browser lockdown. You may have to activate your camera when taking the exams online. They'll be timed. You'll have about a minute per multiple choice question. You won't be able to go back and change your answers. And just know that when you start the exam, you're going to have about 90 minutes for 100 questions. It's going to move quickly, and it'll be a little different if you're used to taking paper and pencil exams. So we're going to have some criteria for ensuring academic integrity. And that policy is on the second to the last page in your syllabus. And then this page right here, this is the one that is going to be super helpful. So what I did was for each day, Monday through Thursday, you have a reading assignment. So my advice is do the reading, at least skim through the chapter first, then join the class, go through the lecture notes with me. My lecture notes will help dial in your area of focus, okay? Like you'll see in chapter 1, diabetes. I'm not gonna ever test you on diabetes. This is not a pathology class, but they use some examples that get into pathology. I wanna focus on healthy human function, and your pages that are assigned may not be the whole chapter. So today's introduction to class and syllabus is your only required reading. On Tuesday, we'll start chapter 1, and our main focus is going to be homeostasis. For chapter 1, your assigned pages are 2 through 12. Okay, so it's not the entire chapter. That's common for most of these chapters. So the reading may be truncated a little bit just to help us focus on this class entirely. In the far right-hand column, chapter review questions, exercises. Okay, so for introduction, ask yourself, what is a cell? And you may want to go in and access my biochem review notes. Those are already up there in getting started. And ask yourself, what is a cell? Do I know anatomy and physiology of the cell? We'll do a quick review, but we're going to get into some details that take you beyond Gen Bio. If you go down to Tuesday, in the far right-hand column, the chapter review questions and exercises get into some questions that are posed in your reading, in your textbook. So the QCs are quick checks. So QC number 3, page 8, QC 1 through 2, page 13. Those are suggested practice drill questions for you. Those are things that I would ask on a test. So before you move on past page 8, see if you can answer the question number 3, QC. So those are quick checks. I also have call outs for certain figures and diagrams that are super important. So this far right-hand column on your syllabus, as far as your reading schedule goes, is going to really help you focus your reading so you're not wasting time reading things that I'm not going to ask you about or I'm not going to emphasize in class. Okay, so that's lecture. On the very last page, we've got the lab schedule. So lab is going to be done outside of lecture. It's a whole separate set of activities to help reinforce lecture concepts. So we've adjusted the lab schedule to take into consideration that some of you are going to be doing these wet lab experiments in your kitchen using simple items. One of them, you need an egg and some vinegar and a sugar solution. In another one, you need an ice pack. So little things that are pretty common in most kitchens will be used in your experimentation. The other labs will be online simulations, which are really helpful when you're talking about complicated interactions. A computer simulation can really help us get the work done in a short amount of time. So the schedule for the labs, you'll be doing 2 labs a week. There's a couple weeks in there where you have no new experiments. One of our experiments is going to take about 3 days. So the following lab session, you don't have anything new because you have something ongoing. So we've tried to work on the timing, and there is also a schedule for quizzes. Your laboratory quizzes are indicated as LQs under the quiz column in the far right-hand column. So certain topics you'll have a quiz on. Not all. We've got, I think, 13 experiments in lab and only 8 quizzes. So about every other week. Sometimes there's one every week, but usually they're about every other. So the quizzes are worth 15 points. So they add up with the 8 quizzes total at 15 points. And then each of your exercises, which would be daily points if we met in person, are worth 5 points. So that's how the 175 points are generated for lab. You'll have to have the lab manual. It's Biology 2424, Human Physiology Labs. The author is L. May on the cover, and the Rose State Bookstore should have plenty of these for you to purchase. So if you come on campus, wear a mask and maybe call the bookstore ahead of time. There's phone numbers listed in your syllabus, and you can get those materials that are required. We're going to be using the procedures, materials, and methods that are written in your lab manual in order to get you through these experiments. So you can't find that information anywhere else but in your lab manual. So you'll have to get that through the bookstore. Once you have that, we'll go through the worksheets, and there's a pre-lab, and that's done before the experiment to make sure you know what's expected and what are the outcomes for that experiment. And then you do the experiment, and then there's a post-lab. So the combination of online through Pearson, you won't be able to do the labs without the Pearson link. So once you get registered for Pearson, you're going to have access to all of your physiology labs. There's 13 of them. And you're going to have access to practice test questions, practice quizzes, homeworks can be delivered through there, all kinds of study tools. Okay, even some videos are through that website. So it's very robust, and it's really important that you have access to Pearson. You won't be able to complete everything that you need to be successful in this class without that Pearson website. So that's on the left-hand navigation from Canvas. You can go ahead and click on My Lab and Mastering and go ahead and get registered for my class through there. And I think that's been a little more helpful. So you're not clicking around trying to navigate Pearson's website and then go back to Canvas. It's all going to be in one spot for you. So I am going to stop here and then I'll join you again with the notes from chapter 1. I'll walk you through chapter 1 in just a second. Okay.